but I'm very interested right now to talk about the Knights of Malta. So, Jessie, start opening up this little delightful can of worms, please.
Yeah, well, I think, understanding who they are first in their connection within the system is the best place to start. When it comes to regards to the Knights of Malta, I grew up with, tales of the Holy Jihad. That's an important word to remember is that really they are the Holy Jihad. What does that put them, in relation to their position within the system? We talked about how we've got kind of that triangle where you have the Mothers of Darkness, you have the Satanic Council, you have the Grand High Priests and Priestesses who are all going to rule at a quadrant level. Then it gets down to the High Priests and Priestesses who are going to start ruling and governing regionally within the system, and they're going to oversee the 5 departments, which are going to be the Masons, the Mormons, the Jesuit Catholic, the Satanists, and the Kabbalah. So within that now, so at that regional level, you kind of have this subgroup that are going to be connected to those departments. And, some of the other words we could use for the Knights of Malta is that really they're connected to the sovereign military. That's going to be different than the protectors. The protectors are going to be more at that quadrant level, universal level. They're going to be assigned to very specific elites or people within the system. But who is the enforcer for those elite? Who's going to go out and be their army, their military? That's going to be the sovereign military, which is going to consist of several different orders. You have the Order of Malta or the Knights of Malta. You have the Order of the Bath or the Knights of Bath. You have the Order of the Garter, which we all saw, during the coronation. You see Prince Charles and William and those guys, wearing symbology of that. Actually, I think it said Garter, but their symbology was Order of the Bath. Then Order of the Garter was his sister Anne with the green. Bath has that buckle that looks like an upside down Q. And then you've got Order of the Thistle, which we know Queen Elizabeth was over, and that's always symbolized by the thistle flower. So there are other groups that are connected to the sovereign military, but those are what I would classify as the main 4 branches. The majority of these people have been born brotherhood. They're chosen and they come from family lines that serve in this sovereign military as knights. Even though they're classified as either, dark knights or light knights, I'll be honest, what I saw is that they all underground worship the same idol. That idol is usually named Baphomet or Baphomet. I think those are the basics of, beginning to understand. Now, back in the Crusader years, even before that, back to 325, when you had Constantine, he was very big on marching out with his knights, and that's where we kind of see a shift, because before Constantine and others like him really focused on, conquering the land, what were they trying to conquer? They were trying to conquer the water. And, everywhere that they went, they set up certain brotherhood places.
Hypogeum, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Which is basically Hypogeum, yeah. The deepest level where giants are contained. So what I'm hearing is that all the tunnels and things around that have been closed off around the giants. So there must be a great fascination with giants and Nephilim, that sort of thing. And especially if what you're saying is they're connected to all 4 of the military bases. And I know we've really just touched on one of those bases, which is the water base. So for those of you who haven't watched that yet, I really want to encourage you to watch that, because it's actually super interesting. Very, very interesting, in fact.
So I think you said a key thing there. Let me just quick intervene. I think, you know, the knights have a sacred, one of their sacred duties is to be keepers of, you know, what they call the holy seed. It could also, another term that they'll call it is keepers of the grail, the holy grail. Now, in Grail, they're not necessarily talking about the cup that Jesus drank from, yet in a way they are. You know, so they make it sound like it's the physical cup that was the last cup that Jesus drank from when he did communion with his disciples before his death. That's what they want you to believe it is. But really, what is the holy cup or the holy seed? You know, that cup represents the chalice, which we know in ritual is what receives the blood. So for them, it represents the blood or the seed. You know, we're talking people, we're talking heirs, we're talking, you know, gods, little g, and their whole, you know, breeding, guarding, protecting, procuring certain family lines. So here's where it connects with the giants, is that, you know, throughout the generations, the Brotherhood has been trying to, you know, collect that DNA that goes back to the Nephilim, trying to, you know, bring up the race of the Titans and the Olympians once again.